Hey, how's it going? I'm Ron.
I'm Zach.
That's Andy. We're here on Influences. We're going to be interviewing Andy today. Andy is a member of the rock band Sponge, as well as the Bob Guinea Band and many other illustrious artists. He runs the Loft Recording Studio in Saline, Michigan. And he's a rocksman through and through.
Hey, I'm Zach from the band Widetrack, and I'm here in the studio with Andy Patalan, whom I will be interviewing today. So, Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself. What were your previous bands like? What type of music do you play? All that.
Well, a little bit of everything, really, as far as music. Rock, basically, but as you guys heard, I played a little country jam I worked up the other day, rhythm and blues. My old bands, I currently play with Sponge quite a bit. Solid Frog is a band that was in the 90s that we were quite busy. Throttle Body, more of a heavy, drive fast band. They had too many liabilities with that band, people driving too fast, so we had to shut it down for a little bit. We can bring it back.
Oh.
And Slam Circus, if you're going all the way back.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so now, of course, by the name of this show,
what is the name of this show?
Why, it's Influences.
Influences.
So, but you can already guess what this is going to be.
Influences.
All right, who would you say some of your core influences were, when you were first picking up music and even now?
Sure. Elton John, Ted Nugent, early years those would be big influences. Even Seeger. Then moving on to later teen years, Metallica, Queensryche. What else? Wasp, Anthrax, a lot of heavy stuff like that in my teen years, my angst years. My big influence, if overall, like I said, the band that has stuck with me once I found them, a band called King's X. They've been around forever. 3-piece power trio. I always describe them as heavy Beatles, like 3-piece vocal, 3-piece band, but they all sing. It's just like monster riffs. They influenced a lot of people, but yeah, all-time favorite band.
Very cool. So, hearing quite a bit of the stuff that you do, I take it you play quite a few instruments. What really inspired you to start playing? Maybe whatever you started with, and
I'll pretty much play anything I don't have to put my mouth on. Stringed instruments. Obviously I got a bunch of guitars around here and little bass. I tend to play just about anything. I can hunt and peck piano, and what else? Drums, here and there. But anything it calls to. It's kind of like you can teach yourself once you kind of learn the basics of an instrument. It doesn't mean you're going to be great if you try to learn to play trumpet, if you want to put your mouth on something. But, you know what you have to do to get good at it. Yeah. So once you get good at one instrument, you kind of know it's not an easy journey. It's kind of like if you're a right-handed guitar player and you switch over to try to play it left, it's like you're beginning again. So you have to realize that's with almost any instrument. It's like, don't think you're just, because you know it, you're going to be good at it. It's totally different. So.
All right, was there any moment that you can remember where you said, that really inspired you to pick up a guitar,
a moment,
for the first time?
Seeing Van Halen, seeing some Van Halen footage, or my brother gave me this bootleg Van Halen poster that I used to have in my room, and I'd stare at it and go, wow, like, look at how cool these dudes look. And it's just like, that was an inspiration to play. Just check it out.
Definitely. So, would you say that your family was musical, either your mother and father or now? Or?
Definitely. Dad played a little guitar, but Mom was a very accomplished pianist. She could play anything, sight read anything, any master or monster classical piece she could play. She had the music in front of her. She was quite incredible. Great. And then my brother also is a pretty accomplished musician himself.
What would you say your fondest musical memories are?
were just talking with Ron about going on a road trip, playing this awesome concert, but staying in like not the nicest place and not the best of accommodations. But that is actually one of my favorite things. It's the journey getting there. It's not staying in a nice hotel room and eating great food. That's not what you remember. You remember the driving in a van with 8 guys in a van, and you drive 20 hours to Florida to play a crappy gig, and it's like, for some reason, those are like fond memories. You remember that. You have a lot of bonding time and laughs, because you got to get through it somehow.
What would you say is the greatest advice you have towards beginner musicians, either recording or simply playing?
Advice to beginning musicians. Have fun. Just have fun doing it. It's always a weird question, because a lot of beginning musicians are taking lessons, let's say, because they have to take lessons from their parents, say they have to. I hope they're having fun doing it. You know what I mean? That's important. I just hope they're having fun doing it. Someone who, though, later in the years, when they decide to pick something up to do it, it's still the same thing. Have fun doing it, because if you're not having fun doing it, it's going to be not believable when you start playing, or you're not going to play it with emotion. And if there's no emotion in it, it's worthless.
All right, I'd say, how do you balance music with other day-to-day obligations, such as family or any other type of responsibility?
How to balance it? How to balance it? It's a good question. Priorities. Your priorities is family. And for me, I do music for a living, so I have kind of the best of both worlds. I can work hard at what I love and support the family. But you got to still obviously tend and caretake for both of them. You have to feed and nourish both the family and the music.
All right, very cool. So, as far as recording goes, I see that you've got all this stuff here. What would you say are the core essentials to starting a studio or making your own recordings?
Core essentials? Do you mean physical equipment?
Like physical equipment, anything like that.
Well, it starts with the computer. These days, starts with the computer setup. You can create music on an iPad these days. So it's like you got to have that. You got to start there. Then you can work your way back. So if you're going to go from a computer or whatever it's going to be, then you kind of jump backwards and say all the way to the beginning of the line is your instruments or your microphones. So, I always say you got to have one really good microphone, and then you can have a bunch if you're just beginning. Get the best microphone you can get, for your money, and then get a bunch of ones that are $100. Because you're going to always do like a vocal with one mic, a guitar maybe with one mic, a drum, whatever my other instrument other than a big drum set, it's going to be one key mic. So as long as you have one good one that can be used on a lot of things, that's important.
All right, very cool. And to wrap up here, I just got to say, what are your favorite things to play? Favorite instruments, favorite songs, artists?
Rocking out with a reverend guitar, kicked on loudly with a nice amp with a lot of distortion. Yeah, that's always fun.
All right, right on.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, and don't treat your instrument like it's a piece of furniture. Beat it up, knock it around a little bit, love it, get mad at it, then make up to it, take it out for dinner, but then leave it on the porch. Whatever you got to do. It's wood, it's metal, so basically it's a plant. Like it's a tree and it's rocks that are just shoved together to make an instrument. And it can be beautiful, but if you're going to treat it with too much kid gloves, then leave it at home and get an instrument you can actually play and not just look at. So, yeah.
All right, and actually I lied. Lastly, I saw you take out the guitar. I couldn't resist. Could you play us something from one of the many bands that you've been in? Anything.
Gosh, I don't
put too
know.
much thought into it.
Really?
I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Wait. I need my amp and distortion like I just talked about, but Yeah, that's about it.
All right, well, it was a pleasure being able to interview you and also being able to have you on board for helping out with our album. Pardon me.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Cool, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Cheerio. Upended, making a stand. This pale guy didn't land. Soft, like so many before. Seemed to be the day that his neck would be into. Today is a standard day. No pride, pale God, in a sixth sense. We'll turn a big show for tens of crowds of us. These are many things that he would never see. Today is a standard day. Today is a standard day. There's a pearl inlay, and it's making its way to the floor. Oh, oh. Now you gotta imagine the solo. Delay, reverb. Something like that. Then skip to the. Big ending. There's a pearl in the lake, and it's making its way to the floor, to the floor, to the floor. Today is a standard day. Today is a standard.